Good evening and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the next installment of our CE series. Tonight, I've been really looking forward to this one, and this is the first time that we've had a guest that really touches on this unique side of practice management and growth. So, as everybody dials in at a couple hundred registrants for tonight, so we look forward to really having some good conversations, right? Some high level strategies, and really how do we help to scale and ultimately prepare for a great exit? So, welcome again, everybody. If this is your first time joining one of our Cirrus continuing education courses, we try to bring in some incredible speakers from throughout North America, as well as some true experts in the business side of dentistry. We had the privilege of doing a study group on Sunday, and uh, it was a perfect example of how it was on airway, and it was a really interesting component about how do we help doctors focus on these amazing new strategies, tactics, and helping to support their patients, and just let the business of dentistry side go to some of the dental specific experts. And there is no greater expert than Talib Atarse, who is the president, founder, and owner of Dentala.
Yes.
Tala, thank you so much for joining us. It's a true privilege. And yeah, we've got a great turnout. And thank you so much for joining us, Tala.
Thank you for having me, Eric. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. So, for those of you that haven't joined before, guys, we're live. A lot of these are recorded and follow up and all those sorts of things. But please let us know in the chat what part of the world you're coming in from. We'll customize some of the content tonight as well. And Q&A is open as well. So please throw out some questions as we go. I wanted to start with this one. We had a few that reached out to us in advance because as we're talking about, scaling the practice from inside and out, obviously there's the physical space, but especially Canadian dentists, a lot of them got a valuation done 2, 3, 4 years ago, and they were doing $1 million worth of, production. Their EBITDA was about 300,000, and some of them one I can think of specifically would have been listed at 1.9 million.
Mhm.
And there was a few issues with demolition clauses, etc. The practice brokers actually reduced it down, but there's a huge surge of doctors that weren't quite ready to sell post COVID. And suddenly they realized, hang on a second, if I increase my production by 5%, 10%, or another $500,000, then my value of my clinic skyrockets, let alone driving out some expenses and efficiency. So Tala, sort of dig into that. What trends are you seeing, and more so, what situations are you seeing to doctors that are sort of in that situation that say, "Hey, I'm not ready to sell yet, and I certainly don't want to sell for a lot less than what it could be worth." Maybe dig into that in terms of what you're seeing across the board these days.
Absolutely. We see a lot of dental practices that reach out to us for many reasons. One of the very specific reasons that you mentioned is a dentist who's looking into his exit plan. And a lot of dentists should consider this at the beginning of their career, not really at the end of it. Having said that, when you're looking into a dental practice and they want to exit in 3, 4, 5 years, or they hope to exit right now, and they looked at valuation and they had that face of, oh my God, why is it that low? And the response is, well, your EBITDA or your net cash flow is not sitting where it needs to be. So what happens is we walk into those practices and do a full-on assessment. The assessment doesn't only look at your production, collection, net cash flow, but we also look at your expenses when it comes to the industry standards. We like percentages that are moderate and desirable by purchasers. Because at the end of the day, Eric, if I'm going to buy a business, I want to be able to pay off the loan as we're going. But we also look at the low-hanging fruits. A lot of dentists are busy doing dentistry, and the front office with the business team is doing their business. Having said that, a lot of it is unpredictable, a lot of it is not organized, not efficient. We're not getting the results we should be getting. And that's when we come in. We come in and start looking at your operation as a whole. I'm not a dentist. I'm not a hygienist. I'm a business grad. I look at your dental practice from an entrepreneurship eye. I look at it from a business perspective, and we start creating efficiencies to create a better business model that is desirable by people who want to own a dental practice.
What are, and again, I want to keep this, fun and interactive, guys, and we do have a couple of things that we'll show through, but as you come in, what are the top two or three things that sort of you jump at right away and sink the teeth into? As you're doing that analysis, what do you almost know you're going to find right away? And what are some of those top two or three things that you sort of sink your teeth right into?
Low-hanging fruits, unscheduled treatment plans. Number one, what's happening with your patient flow? Patients are leaving and they're saying, we'll call you later. I have a whole chunk of that in every practice.
Hmm.
In some practices, I find more than 75% of their database of patients is not touched. They're dormant. Nobody knows that, but they're seeing the fruits of that, which is gaps in the schedule, production goals are not met. The other piece that I see is the increase in production year after year, Eric, is only increasing by the fee guide increase. And dentists assume this is growth. It's not. It's a natural progression to increase pricing. Simple. If you're not growing between 10 to 15% per year, I want you to pause and think, what's going on? The other piece I look is, are you the Costco of dentistry? I know. Think about it with me for a minute.
It's
When you
my favorite store. Be careful now.
Exactly. When you walk into Costco, we're overpaying for a lot of things, let's be real. And the reality is in some areas we're paying 20% above Walmart or other stores, but we're purchasing convenience. The fact that I can buy my daughter's snow pants and I can buy my lettuce, my chicken, and get my prescription and get my vacuum at the same space. Oh my God, music to my ears. I'm not going to park 10 places to get 10 items. Patients are assuming the same. A lot of practices, dentists say, I don't like doing ortho. I don't like doing extractions. I get it. You don't have to. But you need to be accommodating your patients with their needs. Referring patients out a lot can cause attrition because patients don't like that. They want convenience. Eric, we're conditioned today to Uber Eats, Instacart, and all those brands that offer convenience at a high price. And we click and go. And those are our patients. So if you're a dental practice and you're not offering convenience to your patients, pause for a minute, rethink it, and get dentists who are willing to do what you don't want to do.
Right. And speaking of that, we are going to dig into sort of some customized content. So tell us a little bit about your situation. Are you in the stage of thinking of opening and relocating? Are you thinking of potentially acquiring a clinic? Are you on the backside of the career and looking to potentially sell? There's a quick little poll up there, guys. Please take a moment, doctors, to give us a little bit of background on your situation so we can customize those across the board. The other pieces, I guess, as you're seeing that doctors either know they should do and don't do, or just don't know where to take the first step, right? What's something else on that list that's a good tangible knowledge pearl that if you were a dentist that were walking in your clinic tomorrow morning, what's one key sort of takeaway that you've seen as a best practice with many of your clients over the years?
My favorite clients that have progressed from just clinicians to CEOs. The moment you change your mindset, you're running a business. The bank doesn't care how great your occlusal surface looks after you do a restoration. The bank needs to know your numbers. Do you know your numbers? Are you fully aware of your P&L, your profit and loss statement? Or you look at that once a year when the accountant says, yep, tax time, let's do this. A dentist who is fully aware of their numbers, that does what we call an executive and leadership meeting with their top executives in their practice, their office managers, their leads, and asks hard questions, holds people accountable, and knows their numbers. Eric, it's mind-boggling. Multi-million dollar businesses are being run by office managers, and dentists don't know their numbers. If you know your numbers, you can lead your business to the next level.
Yeah, so let's touch on that because I just had a call with the doctor in Indiana and it was that same sort of conversation and he was really beating himself up because, gosh, I didn't have this training in dental school, but I'm to the stage where should I stay? Should I relocate? I'm in an older building, the anchor tenant's moving out, how am I going to figure out the future? And I sort of walked him through how are you going through that decision making today? How are you getting the data to make the right decisions? Do you know what the best deal is to stay and what the landlord's willing to do as you're thinking of adding another 3 or 4 operatories to your space? Or do you know what the option down the street looks like? And it was such I probably spent 4 hours on the phone with him over the past week and a half, but it's just some good questions of devil's advocate and having that sort of dental specific team. So some of the questions you can be asking doctors are, are you in the same location that you want to be when you go to sell? A lot of doctors on from Toronto, Vancouver, Los Angeles, etc. There's a ton of the stats do show that the dentist typically moves at least once in their career. So if you're not in the space today because of demolition clauses, relocation clauses, older buildings, etc., then it's one of those conversations that we need to sort of shift the mindset to being the business owner and quite frankly even looking at it through the eyes of the buyer
Yep.
because most doctors realize, especially in Canada, the banks, I was on with both TD and RBC today, both banks will not issue a 12-year payback schedule to the buyer if there's less than 12 years worth of term and transferable options to the buyer, and to make sure that there is the full not only transferability, but also no demolitions, relocations, or even wisps that the landlord can pull the rug out from under the buyer. So, how do again, for the doctors that are interested in roughly looking through, and we'll keep this open, but 68%, 70 lease, 30% own their building. Tala, roughly 17% are planning to open or relocate the clinic. Another 13 are thinking of buying. 17% looking to sell in the next 5 years. 22 to stay put, and then the rest are throughout. So I guess the question then is the mindset, right? How do you instill it? Because we're part of Tufts fourth year program, but it's also one of those situations where we consistently see doctors either outside of their comfort zone or, you know, uh, feeling beholden to the office managers and beyond. So, how do you shift that mindset that are thinking differently?
That's a very good question. You and I are part of the dental advisory board. We have colleagues that we rely on. I call you when I have a client, and we've done this many times where I've had a client where I'm stuck and I said, Eric, we need help because they're growing faster than their space. We need help with this. We need help with negotiating that. Dentists tend to leave themselves out of the space of getting advice sometimes because they're too busy or sometimes they don't know where to go. I encourage every dentist that is looking to buy, grow, acquire a dental practice. Don't isolate yourself. Seek help when it comes to professionals like Eric, for instance. Why sign a lease and renegotiate it again and again without starting from the right spot? If you are looking to build a practice, why not ask the right questions? That's why surrounding yourself with a team that knows what they're doing, been there, done that. And not only that, they can give you solid advice based on experience. There are mistakes you're about to make. Dentists, genuinely, it was done before this. Someone else made the mistake. You don't have to repeat it. All you have to is seek advice. And we're happy to help in any way or form that we can. The reality is, your mindset can be shifted when you get yourself in positions and speak to professionals who can give you a different way to think. Because I can't do a filling. I'll seek your advice as a dentist to help me with my teeth. Same thing. I'm encouraging everybody on this call to seek professionals when it comes to opening, acquiring your dental practice. And the reality is, when you're like Eric and I, and we can testify to this, we're part of a group that is willing to help, and they're professionals that focus on the dental industry, which really provides us with the privilege of being able to get advice when needed. So, to shift the mindset, you know what? Ask for advice. Let's start there. Educate yourself on what is out there. There's a huge industry, North America, and there are studies that have been made. Their mistakes have already been done by someone else. So why not educate ourselves and start learning about the venture we're about to enter before we start?
Perfect. So let's jump in, right? The purpose of all of these doctors are to make sure we walk away with some good, tangible knowledge pearls, and certainly very appreciative of everyone's time. I will start with the data, right? One of the biggest takeaways are if you were to ask yourself for the 72% now that are in the leased premises, when was the last time you compared your rent to market price? Right? And as it pertains to overhead, as Tala comes in and does the analysis of expenses, if you're seeing anything beyond about 8% on the highest in terms of your production going towards tenancy expense, then we've got a problem, right? Ideally, we try to get our clients to around the 6.5 mark, meaning of every dollar you bring in, 6 cents is going towards the landlord. If not, then there's a rent problem or a production problem. So start with the facts, right? Most doctors don't realize they are the best tenants on the planet. You've got the highest build out costs, you've got the lowest default rates, you're in the same location for 26 and a half years, you're COVID proof, you can't work from home. The best thing I can always share is start with the data. I did a CE course not long ago at this actual Top Golf, so this is an example we used, but rental rates, vacancies, comp reports, all of these factors follow through because, building off of Tala's point is the expenses and looking at the business. And every day I'm talking to doctors that, hey, I was so excited to open my first clinic. I worked with, the landlord's broker, or I had a broker, and I didn't know how they got paid. I certainly didn't know that they got paid, 3 or 4% of what I paid over the next 10 years, and they split it as commission, and they got paid for by the landlord that got baked into my lease. But, one of the best things to look at is follow the money, and more importantly, look at how valuable you are to the dental supply business. Look how valuable you are to the landlord. And when we ask this question across the hundreds of continuing education courses, what is a lease? We get all the answers. It's a contract, it's the worst of all evils, etc. But underneath it all, it really is one thing. It is a lease. It is a check, the largest check that you will pay in your professional and personal lifetime. And on average, usually we see upwards of 2.5+ million over the career of the doctor, and then it just transfers on to the next. So, part of the reasons why we do this, and one of the great pearls, and this is a great one you can screenshot as well, is all of the financial variables. So, most doctors look at the first half of the first page, base rent, who do I write the check to, and what that amount is. But there are so many other different financial variables to make sure that when Tala does the analysis, it suddenly doesn't look like we are paying way too much in tenancy expense. So, number one, base rent. Goes without saying, but what are all the comparables? How many other dental office comparables do you have? And then what other deals has been done with that landlord? So one of the things we do as part of our process, even if it's a large institutional, let's look at the last 3 or 4 deals we've done this year with that same landlord so we get a very good understanding to what that leverage might look like. Now, unfortunately, landlords, even with the same asset manager, will still do different deals and there's different thresholds per location, but it gives us a huge amount of insight. Another great tidbit is the common area maintenance. Most doctors don't realize that is fully negotiable, and there are all sorts of ways of capping it or amortizing it or making exclusions over certain pieces. But a lot of these premium locations tell most doctors, whatever they're paying in base rent, if it's 20 or 30 or 40 bucks, there's probably another $20 of tenant of common area maintenance. Other key pieces to be aware of are things like free rent and fixturing. So the time you're building out the location from start to finish, right, that should be at $0. And ideally, no cam fees either. Tougher to get. But, and even after, if you're signing a 10-year term for $1 million, right, what a great time to say, look, doctor, Mr. Landlord, help me out with a couple of additional months. So we minimize that upfront expense. In addition to that, again, Cirrus Consulting Group, we've been really building out as far as landlord work, all of the issues that can happen when you build at a new clinic. Insufficient plumbing, electrical issues, right? Inability to core, raise flooring, structural issues, parking, garbage, you name it. We've seen it all, having done 13,000 of these. One of the main objectives that we have as it pertains to the dental office lease negotiation is what would the landlord be willing to do, and what are the minimums we need so suddenly we don't have a whoops and a big 50, $100,000 surprise when it comes down to the build out times. The last thing I'll leave you with is this tenant improvement allowance, right? It looks good, it sounds good, it feels good. Though, hey, the landlord's giving me money to build out my space. But again, when Tala does the analysis, the landlord is not a bank. They typically just build it into the base rent or annual increase or common area maintenance, which is why most doctors are on these world's most boring roller coaster that just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And when it renews every 5 years, most doctors don't do what they should to negotiate a new 10-year term. They just exercise that 5-year option and it continues to go up and up and up. So, to summarize, there is so many aspects of the lease that we want to prepare ourselves for. And whether it be you own or you lease, for the 28, 29% of you that own your building, great, right? But ask yourself some of these questions. Who owns the building? Is it in your corporation for the real estate corp? And is your practice corp the tenant? Is it in your spouse's name? Is it in your name personally? If you haven't gone through the tax exercise with your CPA, or even worse, you've got the real estate, excuse me, into your practice corporation, there could be some really difficult conversations with your accountant coming up. So the more things we can do it in advance to prepare yourself, the better. Are you paying yourself rent today? How are you tracking the expenses? Is there an actual lease in place? So many doctors aren't prepared for an audit or slip and fall or otherwise because there isn't a clear delineation between the two. Most just downloaded something from the internet when they open their clinic. So again, rate yourself, right? Because take a guess, Tala, of the DSOs out there, especially those 20 plus. How many how many own their real estate versus just the clinics? Take a guess. I'll put you on the spot.
Oh my God, that's a hard one. Um, with my clients, I have about 40% of them probably own their
Mhm.
real estate.
Correct. But what's really interesting now is especially through Canada, the US, and beyond, a lot of the major landlords, or sorry, DSOs, typically 20 and above, they don't own a single piece of real estate.
They want to put their money into dental practices now.
Bang on.
Yeah.
Bang on, right? And that's part of the scalability piece. So as we're thinking of scaling, right, the scalability is great, but we have to be thinking about it through the eyes of the buyer and the exit because scaling's great for you, but it's all about what that ending valuation looks like. So again, from a scaling perspective, it's about the physical space. If the physical space is owned, these are the key things you want to think of, and if you want to be a full-time landlord. If you're going through the scaling exercise now, having a solid footing, or as we're seeing all too often, another one out in Mississauga today, forced relocation, right? And the doctor's basically going to be out now at phase two, which is going to be early 2027. So, you're ramping up your marketing, your advertising, etc., and then suddenly, whoops, I've got to pick up and relocate. So, do you know when your lease expires? Do you know when your option to renew deadline is? And definitely something to put into your calendar is when that option to renew deadline is. That's typically 12 months prior to the lease expiry. And the landlords, unfortunately, all too often know this and wait till the last minute and then increase rent and becomes a big challenge.
So, Eric,
Mhm.
if you don't mind me interrupting.
Please.
So I have clients who own their properties. And what I find mind-boggling is when they are selling their practice, they want to stay as a landlord because it's not a bad
Mhm.
business. Why not? They are asking their lawyers to prepare their lease. And I find a lot of what you're mentioning today is missed. So what do you advise those new landlords? Because now we're shifting from a business owner where I can do whatever I want. It's my building. Now I'm shifting to being the landlord. What do I do now? How do I navigate that?
It's an interesting one because you're right. Um, Most doctors think, oh, well, I don't need a great lease or I can just download something from the internet. I'm my own tenant, I'm my own
The new one,
landlord.
ChatGPT.
Oh, even better, ChatGPT, right? So, but here's the reality. Ask yourself the question, if you, heaven forbid, needed to or passed away, right, and didn't wake up tomorrow morning, heaven forbid, is your practice and your building set up for sale? And more importantly, is it set up for sale that you could sell one without the other? Because if you've got $1 million plus producing clinic, there's a high probability that the buyer is not going to want to or have the funds or want the headache of having to buy a $2 million clinic, right? Plus another $1 million piece of real estate. We're
That's
doing a lot more lease to own and beyond. So, Tyler, to answer your question, here's some good examples of designing the lease around your buyer. Ask yourself if Dental Inc. was your tenant tomorrow, do you have a lease in place? Because if the ink is still wet and you're changing the rents on what it was before, then how do you get an accurate valuation when, oh, well, I was only paying myself 4,000, but now I want to charge you 14,000, right? It throws out all the individual numbers. It's so much easier to say, look, Dr. Tala, here's what we have for a lease, and now we're just transferring that on from what it was for me onto you as the new buyer. But, what is your control? What if you sell it to your associate and they flip it to a corporation in the assignment clause? Right? What if you want to redevelop? What if you want to move through? What if you want to do some certain CEs? What if that doctor passes away? What happens if, right, they default? What happens if they can't? What happens if the business fails because they didn't run it as tightly as you did? So all of these are just some of the dozens and dozens of clauses that should be included into that lease so that it's designed around you to be dental specific and very landlord friendly. Same thing for the tenancy, right? Are you aware of all these hidden red flags hidden in these leases? Leases are now upwards of 80 pages long. And tier three, some of the brokerages, even if it says the landlord has the right to substantially renovate the building, that's enough that they will decrease the price of the clinic by $350 per square foot. So, as we talk about scalability, it's about growth. And one of the key things with growth is, again, in that sort of preparation for sale. So, in the essence of time, we won't dig too deep into this one, but it's one of the dozens and dozens of clauses that, as you're looking through your lease, these are the type of things that can wipe away all that good work as you're starting to scale. So, as you're thinking of growth, what does that look like? Do I have the opportunity to exit or transfer that lease or sell some to a new associate? Most don't realize even transferring from a mother to a daughter dentist, they cannot do that without the landlord's prior written consent. So the first thing that is in almost every single lease is that the landlord has complete control basically as to whom you can sell to and when. Number two is most are shocked to know that the landlord can terminate the lease just for asking to sell the clinic, per the termination rights in this type of language. Landlords can increase rent if they feel you're getting a sweetheart deal. And now, more and more often, including a recent one we saw in Ottawa, that the landlord actually requested to get a check or cash in this case for $50,000 plus HST just for the single signature transferring it from seller to buyer. And last but not least, at the bottom, that again, from a scalability perspective, most don't realize that all that hard work, you will still remain as personally and corporately liable post sale as you are today. So again, I share some of these key pieces because as we look forward, it's all about how do we help to scale with more money in our bank account by reducing overhead. And one of the big, another key knowledge pearl is to start the lease renewal negotiation process 24 months prior to the lease expiry. These days, to pick up and relocate Tal is easily 18 to 24 months. So again, I share
We're
this
doing
across
that
the
right now.
board. And as I pass it to Tala here, is number one, get all the core information. If you don't have a signed version of the lease with your landlord, get a copy. Figure out your practice goals, objectives, and when you think of transitioning. Then get the lease professionally reviewed. Then get all the facts, rental rates, vacancies, comp reports, and we're happy to do that for it. Then figure out the carefully choreographed game of chess. What have we not done at this point? We haven't picked up the phone and called the landlord, right? So don't go back in tomorrow and say, Tal, I had some great tips. Mr. Landlord, how much do you want to charge me in my next renewal? Right?
Oh God.
All of that to make sure that we don't stop until we get to that final form lease that we're satisfied with. So we'll pull this up in the end, but again, as a huge piece, we waive our $2,000 fees and we truly want to make sure that everyone knows what the hidden pieces are in the lease. How do we structure from an expansion or renovation perspective? Why don't we get the landlords to do that? So, from a scaling perspective as well, as we're growing the business, it all starts with a physical space. If we're doing more than $250,000 per chair, that's another great key performance indicator to look at where we go next, right? And maybe it is time to add a fifth operatory. Maybe it's time to add an ADEC 511 Pro. Maybe it's time to knock a hole in the wall, or maybe even to move into the adjacent suite. The more things we can do to think about growth tomorrow, right? And the key things that we can do today. So, Tal, I see some questions coming in, but I know you've got some great slides and happy to do it. And yes, I will. Question here was to share my email and phone number, and yes, I'll share that with everyone here in the notes. And I'll pull it up to at the ends as well. But Tala, please take us away and let's talk scaling, right? Good tangible pieces today that we can do to break through, right? Think of all the doctors that have been, again, doing that $1 million a year, a little up, a little up, a little up, B
That's
guides increases. Let's dig into that.
Happy to share. So please feel free to ask questions as we're going. And just quickly about us, we are a dental practice consulting firm. We take care of a lot of your needs when it comes to purchase. We do due diligence chart audits. When you're starting up a dental practice, we will work alongside our colleagues like Eric and a lot of other colleagues at the Dental Advisory Board to help you start up your business properly. We do customized training and IPAC, etc., for your office. We help you grow your business. Building a scalable office is not a wish. It's a plan. It's a strategy you need to put in place. Whether you're acquiring a brand new practice, a practice, or you're starting a new business, you need to plan it. I understand the accountants will put you a business plan in place. My question to you is, as a dentist owner, what is your plan? What is your vision? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where are you heading? That is really what we need to focus on today. If you want to take a few things today from my presentation, I want you to pause for a minute. A lot of dentists spend years in dental school and they received less than 1 year education about how to run a dental practice, how to run a business. Shifting from the dentist clinician to a CEO mentality, Eric, has been the hardest thing for me to work with dentists on. Here's why. Because working in the op, getting amazing dentistry done, and at the same time, managing a whole team, managing the efficiency, the customer service, the level of professionalism that is in your dental practice, having the leadership, accountability, the financial oversight, the KPIs, looking at the culture of your growth, the goals. It's a lot of work. And I'm not going to stop here and say you can do it. No, you can. Organized leadership is what you need. You need the mindset shift to understand that I am a clinician, but yet I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business owner. That's where I wish today for you to leave and just pause for a minute and start asking yourself questions. Do I know my business as well as I know my dentistry? And if the answer is yes, good for you. I'm very proud of you today. And if the answer is no, well, today's a light bulb moment. Let's take it, work on it, and start asking ourselves better questions so we can lead our business as good as we're doing dentistry in the op. So, leading and growing with a vision and purpose matters. I always say to every dentist we work with, if you're starting a business, acquiring a practice, start with the exit in mind. Where are you going? 5 years, 10 years from now? I have a dentist that I'm working with right now, and all her kids are moving to a different part of the country. And she said to me, "You know what? I didn't envision this. I would like to move there too. So we're selling." Good for you, if that's your plan. But have you thought this through? Have you thought this through when you established your business? Did you look at your lease, like Eric said? Because she has the demolition clause there. How are we going to sell that? What's the plan? Where are you heading? Are you profitable enough? Are you organized enough? Are you a sustainable business for a new owner? Work today with an exit plan. I'm not saying everybody needs to sell today or tomorrow, but I'm saying we can't predict the future. Have a business that is desirable by other dentists to buy whatever time you decide that this is the right time for you to move on. Always have the exit in mind when you're setting up your business and making sure it's desirable. People want to buy it. So today, what's your end game? Do you have an answer for that? What is your 5, 10, maybe 25 year from now? Where do you want to be? What's your plan? I see this, and when I ask questions, Eric, and I ask dentists, where do you want to be 5 years from now? They pause for a minute. They go, I don't know. Where do you think I should be? That's not a question for me to answer. I'm happy to guide you through the process of thinking through this. But have you,
One exercise just on that, doctors.
yeah,
Just for a second, bear with us, right? Close your eyes, doctors, right? Think of yourself in 10 years from now, right? Think of that 10 years from now or 2036, all right? Who are you with? Where are you? Right? What are you looking at? Right? Are you retired? Are you up at the lake house? Right? Kids, grandkids, etc. Right? What does that look like? So now that we've got that vision, think then, okay, great. If that's where I want to be in 10 years, what do I need practically to do 5 years from now, business wise, right? I need to get my corporation set up. I need to get these shareholder pieces. I need to, right, get my revenue up. I need to, right, get the right team. I need to make some tough firing decisions. And then, great. If that's 5 years, what do I need to do in 2 years? And then 1 year? Both personally, professionally, and health are a great example of, and if you'd like, I can send you a little template for it. There'll be a little yes section for more information at the end, but happy to send it to you. Those are great, perfect examples. Because if not, again, the days are long, but the years are short.
that is true. And you know what? Life takes spins and changes happen. Nobody predicted COVID. Nobody thought of it. Nobody assumed it's going to happen, but yet it happened. And the offices that survived that and worked through it are the offices that were well prepared and systemized. And that's what we need. Eric, I always challenge my dentist and I say, if I go to Starbucks today in any city, In North America, I'll have the same cup of coffee, the same taste with the same service. If Starbucks can systemize their coffee that well, dentistry should do better. The challenge that I face is a lot of us focus on the care. Hey, fine line. I'm not going to stop that. The care is essential. Take care of your people, they will take care of your business. Having said that, if you don't think of your business properly, you will be lost in the mist. And that's not something we want to see. So, have your exit strategy and think about it. What are the pillars of success in your dental practice? What are the things that I hope you can't hear my dog yelling outside.
No, you're safe.
I'm safe. That's great. Somebody must be walking their dog outside. So, three pillars of success in your practice. There's the business engine, numbers, profitability, and growth. The second one is the people engine, team, culture, and leadership. Please pay attention to all that. And operational engine. What are the systems and the patient growth? How does it look like in your practice? Those are the three pillars of a successful dental practice. If you're planning to scale your business, if you're planning to look at your business differently, you need to be fully aware of all that. This is very important to us and to you. To grow your business, you need to be fully aware of your number and how you're growing and what are the percentages you're growing year after year. Part of what we do, Eric, is we create KPIs for your dental practice. And we look at it from an objective point of view, from a numbers point of view. It really matters that we all see your business because numbers don't lie. Managing by emotions is not a good strategy to run a business. When I'm looking at your people, a lot of dentists call me and say, one dentist actually called me and said, I feel like I'm married to 26 ladies and nobody likes me in my practice. They all hate me. And the culture of the practice is heavy. I don't like work. My team doesn't like coming to work. That's affecting my productivity. That's affecting my numbers. How do we work on that? And do we have systems in place? Or Susan does whatever she feels like today and she changes her mind tomorrow. Your patients get a courtesy today and tomorrow they don't. We accept assignment today. We're in the system and the network right now, but tomorrow we change our mind. How is it working for you? Do you have a plan and a system? Do you know your numbers? So, dentists, take this challenge. If you know your goals, where are you today compared to the last 2 years? And if you're not 10 to 15% in growth every year, pause for a minute and evaluate. Patient retention, what's your active patient numbers? I don't mean open files in your practice. I mean, how many patients walked into your practice in the last 12 months, 17 months for more than 2 visits? Those are the real numbers that you need to evaluate. This is your return on investment that you need to look at. So,
So one
yeah,
one one question that just popped up, and we will have some time for Q&A at the end, but Dr. K was asking the big challenge, which is again buying versus building, but more
yeah,
specifically, Tala, how do I manage change when acquiring an established dental clinic in terms of operations and culture specifically?
100%. Well, thank you for asking. This is a very common challenge. When acquiring a dental practice, you're walking into a family that they don't know who you are, but you're the new owner. You need to get familiar with your systems. One of the biggest challenges I see is dentists get excited and start making changes. My advice to new owners, take a deep breath. Take about 6 months to learn your practice. Learn what's happening in your practice. Get to know your people. Start taking notes. What we do is we do what we call acquisition consulting. We help you understand your system. If you don't know the software, we make sure you know the software at least 10% more than your team because that's what you need. We help you with systems that you need to be looking at, numbers, KPIs, and we help you with getting to know your team and how to manage because a lot of dentists, Eric, that would be their first practice. And if you're investing 1 or 2 or $3 million in not buying a practice, you need to sustain the productivity. You need to make sure that it's continues to be profitable. So my advice to you is don't make any changes, not even the color of the walls. For 6 months, sit still, do dentistry, meet every patient, get to know your team, take notes with my underperformers, where my key people in the practice, take a deep breath, and then start planning. Change can happen, but if it's immediate, it will create damage.
One other quick one on the KPIs, and then we'll jump back
Yeah.
in, but it is aligned with some of the financial
No, no, I'm
pieces.
happy to answer questions.
Yeah, yeah, no, this is great. But just in the essence of this, Dr. R was asking for KPIs, what percentage of monthly collection should go to total staff compensation, especially in the rising world of hygiene and associates
Yeah.
that want the moon and back and beyond? Your thoughts on that?
25% is the highest number I would accept in dental practices that we're running. We see 30 and 32%, and that's outrageous. If you look at how much you're paying, and the only way to decrease your percentage by increasing production. Don't let go of people, don't decrease hours. That's not fair to your team. If you are paying more than 25%, and I know some of you are going to challenge me, are you in this world? Yes, I am. We're running hundreds of practices. The only way to decrease expenses is by increasing production. That's what you need to focus on. And if you're overstaffed, then that's a different conversation. Here's how I think about it. Every two providers, I need one admin. Every two full-time providers, I need one admin. And if every 1,300 active patients, real active patients, if your hygiene is running at 4 months intervals average, you need one full-time hygienist. So, my question back to you, dentist, how many real active patients do you have? And how many active providers full-time do you have? And now you evaluate, am I overstaffed? Am I staffed perfectly? But I need to do better when it comes to production per hour and per operatory.
I'll ask a follow-up to that then. And I guess the nether piece is the associate, right? At what stage do you get? Is it a million? Is it 1.2? Is it 1.5? Right? What procedures am I doing? At what point do we insert the big A, the associate?
The big A, I love them. Um, when you are fully booked for more than 2 weeks and you can't accommodate,
Got it. And that's an interesting piece. I think Tala just froze. Let me know if I've frozen as well. But all key pieces as we talk about growth, expansion, and these, it's really looking at these numbers individually. How do we prepare ourselves for the eventual transition and beyond? So, Dr. R, hopefully that covered you from there. Perfect. We've
yeah,
got Tala back.
I'm
Oh,
here. I don't know what happened. I'm back. If you're booked for 2 full weeks and you can't accommodate patients, that's when you look at it. Numbers are not always a good indicator of getting an associate. And the other thing is, where do you want to be? I have a dentist who called me and said, I need a consultant, not because I want to make more money. I need a consultant because I haven't tucked my kids into bed for a year. I haven't been to any dance recitals, and I lost my life. I'm done. I need an associate. I want to make the same amount of money, Tala. Stay with that, but I want to see my children. I didn't do this. I didn't go to school that much, that long to be a slave to my business. Great. We put a strategy in place, Eric. We are making 28% more revenue right now. We have an associate that's part-time, and the dentist has long weekends, and he sees his children growing. But it needed a strategy and needed patience, needed 6 months of planning so we can bring in an associate, the proper associate that fits in that practice and can do the different kind of dentistry than the dentist that we have. So everything can happen if we plan it. Does that answer your question?
I think that was yeah, that was perfect. And the 25% to staff, that doesn't include obviously the doctor's compensation and
Do not.
yeah,
It does
perfect.
not. It includes my hygienist, anybody that's on my payroll, but that includes the payroll expenses too. I'm pushing the envelope, I know, but I can because we are doing it, and we've achieved that in a lot of dental practices. And this is when I start introducing bonus systems, Eric, because I'm working with the BAM most of my time, the bare achievable minimum, and I tie it to staff costs in a lot of clinics where the team is fully aware that if we do better and the percentage goes lower than 25%, I'm to distribute the difference over the team. So there's a lot we can take care of that. We have one more question.
Yep. Perfect. And we no longer see the slide, but I know we're getting sort of towards the end. Another quick follow-up to that was after paying the doctor's percentage, what should the EBITDA be? So I'll add a little comment to it because, EBITDA is interesting, but ultimately it's also the normalized EBITDA. So, again, once you take out the car, the boat, right, the horse, and whatever else you've got running through there, it's, what would it be for the doctor to take things over from the buyer's perspective? And yes, it's interesting. Every dollar of savings and rent and overhead, etc., is exponential value. But and then it's a tax question. But again, to that, the follow-up from Dr. R is after paying the doctors, what percentage should EBITDA be? And she looks fantastic frozen. But yeah, well, go ahead, Kelly. We got you back.
Sorry. You froze. I froze for a minute. So ask me the question one more time.
So it was just again, after paying the doctors, what percentage should EBITDA be?
And again, we have to look at your expenses, the size of your practice. Are you an associate? Are you getting paid? Is your wife getting paid? Where are you? I like to see again on the north end of the 20, 25 to like between the 25% and up. I want to see you taking some money home. And again, if you're going to be rich as an associate, not rich as a business owner, then I have a problem with that. A dentist looked at me and said, if I put the hours I put into this place, I'm getting paid minimum wage. What are you comfortable with? But as a business, I would like to see a healthy business and s- makes sense to me. Anything above 25%, you're doing great.
Okay. One follow-up with Dr. M. What's the optimal percent of overhead to gross revenue?
We need to have an accountant on this call,
I
Larry.
know.
I have a slide I'm going to share with you if you allow me, and it
Please,
has
yeah.
the percentages.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to pay attention to this. The wages and salaries on this slide is what I have been seeing, but that's not what I desire. So I'm going to share it with you right now. And allow me 1 minute. And here you go. So this is what I'm seeing in a lot of practices. This is what we're studying and seeing in a lot of practices, not the fully desired ones. So when you look at associate fee, please pause for a minute because it's not for every practice. So don't take that at face value. Wages and salaries, including temps and subs, that's where I want to see the 25%. But I'm seeing that dental practices are ranging between 26 and 29% all the time. And in dental supplies, we're overspending a lot. I like the 5% mark, and I'm showing you what hundreds of dental practices are ranging today. So a lot of your money is going in the wrong directions. So when I'm looking at, for instance, lab fee, if you hit above the 8% to the 10%, that's when we start looking at mills and we start looking at printers. So we work with you, utilities, repairs, marketing, advertising, the rest of it, I can't control. What I can control as a consultant, as a business owner, you should be focusing on controlling your lab fee, supplies, and wages. That's where you should be focused on. Hey, if my associate is making money, God bless them, I'm making 60% of it. Let's take it. Grow your associate if you want your business to run without you. And by the way, when you look at valuations and you see that there is an associate run practice, the value goes up, it doesn't go down. But again, I would love to say that this is what I want you to work by all the time, but I am going to say to you, it's customized to your practice. Where are you today? If you're a brand new practice, this whole table is skewed because right now I want you to spend most of your money on marketing advertising. I don't want you doing anything else. I want you to grow your marketing advertising and get new patients, and we have to keep them. So I'm going to stop sharing. But what I want to say to you today, your strategy is based on your vision. Your direction is based on your destination. Don't be the kind of leader that wings it because spaghetti on the wall is not a strategy. It's a random hope mechanism that doesn't take entrepreneurs to a successful destination that's profitable and it's desirable. So, from my point of view, if you want to scale a business, it has to be intentional, calculated, and it has to be systemized.
Bang on. Perfect. So as we just wrap up for time, again, we truly appreciate it. This is just little tidbits. Hopefully, we got some great knowledge pearls. There's a little section again. If you do want that analysis and that vision, click yes for some more information from Cirrus and mention that to the team. We will process the CEs, obviously. There's a little poll that just popped up. We'll process the CEs in about 10 to 10 business days. And let's throw in some more questions because again, it's you're not alone in all of this. I promised I'd share this as well here. And Tala, what's the best way that someone can get in touch with you as well?
Absolutely. I'm gonna put in the chat right now, my email and my phone number. I am not very good picking up my phone because I'm generally either training teams or in meetings. I do respond to text messages way better. Emails, I have my email here and I'll send it off and feel free to reach out to me. We do complimentary conversations, and we're happy to help you think this through and take a look at your business the same way Eric is going to help you with this. We take a look at specific reports, whatever software it is you're using, we're familiar with all of them, and we guide you through them. And we show you where the low-hanging fruit is and treatment plan it with you. You take it, you run with it, or you engage us. We're happy to help you either way.
Yeah, bang on. So, growth, in summary, my takeaway, Tala, from your fantastic, um, comments here is as we're thinking of change. First of all, my takeaway is don't be happy with the status quo of 3, 4, 5, 6% because in many cases that's fee guides or increases via osmosis. Track my numbers. How many patients are physically walking through and challenging the team to get us through that, those specific numbers. And where do those numbers trend? How many patients came in, new patients came in this month versus last month? Am I incentivizing those? Am I tracking? Am I pulling the data to see even geographically where they're coming from?
Yeah.
Type of thing. The other low-hanging fruit I thought was great, Tala, was again, do I really have a clear perspective of how many patients, canceled and, don't call me, I'll call you, right? Do I have a good capture strategy on those? Because if not, they go down the street and they don't come back.
Yep.
And certainly then, last but not least, it's really that getting to know my numbers. And don't beat yourself up, doctors. Again, ask yourself how much, you mentioned a year, but did you have more than a class or even just a pizza lunch and learn on the business side of dentistry in dental school? Right. So again, you've taught how to fix teeth and remove impacted thirds and beyond, right? Didn't spend the hundreds, if not thousands of hours that others have on the business side of dentistry. And these are the type of pieces where it's just knowing a little bit about what's not known and then the efficiency of leveraging someone like Tala to be able to look at your business from 10,000 feet and compare and challenging you across those boards. Another interesting stat, I was talking to a friend of mine from high school that runs a clinic in Ottawa. And, I said, you know what, it's some ungodly high percentage that the average dentist has never been inside another clinic other than their own in the past 20 years. Right. So, and we're not on LinkedIn and it's not about really sharing, and you get very much into your own orb. So, if you don't have a trusted, dental supply person or consultant or, someone else that deals with these dental clinics all day, every day, it is a huge resource just to share. Look, gosh, where do I compare to this? I was really thinking I was overpaying for these staff, but now you're really reinforcing that. Or boy, I was really putting up with, Janine and she didn't get along with some of the rest of the team. I really knew I should have pulled that band-aid off before. So, if there's any other questions, let me make sure I didn't miss any. Yes. Thank you, Tala. So yeah, no, we appreciate everyone's time. Some final words of wisdom, Tala. Some key things. One thing that you'd ask each doctors to do as they walk into their clinic tomorrow morning that want to take a tangible first step to growing their business to the next level.
I would say ask your leader, your office manager, to start giving you a monthly report of your KPIs. And KPIs would include production, collection, adjustments, unscheduled treatment plans. Anybody that is on this call, I don't know if you see my email and phone number. If you have our email, feel free to email us and send you the list of KPIs that we ask our clients and we want to see from them on monthly basis. Please email us and we're happy to share it with you so you can approach your office manager, your business leader, and say, okay, let's talk. And don't shy away from asking hard questions because this is when you start uncovering the hidden gems in your practice and you start moving your practice forward in a way that you never expected, simply by asking discovery questions and getting to know your practice better as a business.
Bang on. And one KPI you can all do now is take that monthly payment of,
KPI, sorry, Eric,
yeah.
KPI means key performance indicators. It's like the health check for your practice. Someone asked that, and I'm sorry to
Oh, good.
interrupt
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's when you are looking at specific number, they act like indicators for the success or failure of your operation. It's key performance indicators.
Yeah. Bang on.
I don't think
Um,
my contacts should
I'll just share that to make
share.
sure it goes through to everyone, Dr. K. And that's right through. One KPI to leave us on a high. That should have gone through. Hang on one second. But take your monthly payment, multiply by if you just type it in, Tal, and just make sure it clicks to everyone versus just to the hosts and panelists there, that should go through. But yeah, take your monthly payment, multiply by 12, right? That will then equal to the roughly how much you're spending to the landlord per year. Divide that by your total collections. Let's say it's 1.2 million, right? And that brings you to roughly 8%. Now, as Tala said, if you're anywhere beyond the 2% to 6%, that's a perfect opportunity to, again, challenge the status quo, stop overpaying in rent, certainly get some help in negotiating your next renewal, because every 5 years you've got the opportunity to not just exercise your option, much better to negotiate a new 10-year term, and certainly resetting that back down to market rents, which we've had the privilege of doing now for over 33 years. Um,
Gonna do
that
this here. I don't think I have the option, Eric, but I don't know why. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share this, and this will give you all my
perfect.
details. Is that okay?
Yep,
Okay, perfect. So everybody can have that. That's my direct email, and that is my phone number.
perfect. I just added it to the chat as well.
Beautiful. You're the best. Thank you.
Excellent. We truly appreciate everyone's time. We're hosting another event tomorrow in Toronto. I'm in Ottawa for Friday, so it'll be an early 4 a.m. morning. But again, it is a labor of love to be screaming from the rooftops to say, look, you're not alone in all of this. There's some fantastic resources out there. If you have any questions on these or challenge us, feel free to reach out to the wonderful Tala of Dentala Consulting, and of course ourselves. And of course, we would be remiss to our great leader, Dr. Mr. Mark Gaillard, who created the Dental Advisory Board, which again is a great resource of well-established professionals that create a one-stop shop turnkey solution to help support you in each and every step of your business. Let it be through legal, lease negotiations, consulting, right? Hygiene, to insurance, to HR, to recruiting. It is a fantastic group, and I think it really is the future. So, Tala, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciated. Thank you to all that attended this evening, and have a fantastic evening. And we will see you all again soon. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic evening. Bye now.
Good night.